It's supposed to feel.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the North Shore 9 Postgame Show. I am Jim. With me is Neil. The Pirates get clobbered tonight, 14-1 at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. They drop to 1-10 against the Cubs on the year. Neil, I think this one's going to be, short and sweet, maybe not so sweet, but just a rough game. And it's frustrating. I think the most frustrating thing about games like this, like you see the Pirates actually playing pretty good baseball recently, and it's just the Cubs. I don't know what it is. The Cubs just are that they can't beat the Cubs. And not only can they not beat the Cubs, they get crushed by the Cubs seemingly every single game.
It's not. It hasn't been close. I think they said on the broadcast it was 70 something runs to 20, and that was before the eighth inning.
This is. I mean, 3 straight games now to the Cubs where they've given up at least 10 runs. And like I said, they've played them 11 times this year. They have 1 win. If you're looking at our scroll on the bottom here, if you're watching. The Pirates are 70-81 on the season, right? You take away the Cubs games, and they're 69-71. They're basically a 500 baseball club.
Yeah, and
against everybody but the Cubs.
And then you take away the Brewers games, and that number grows even away. I think we're solidly above 500. I mean, you can't take those games away, but I mean, I was dreading this series. When whoever texted the lineup and of people who were doing post games, I saw I had 2 Cubs games. I'm like, this is gonna suck. And God bless to those sickos who stayed up and watched this game after an hour-long rain delay.
Yeah, you guys are. I mean, if you're watching this right now, you're live. If you're watching this tomorrow, you know what, you're trying to get your info as far as the game goes. You're listening to as part of your podcast routine, but you weirdos who are watching this live right now, what are you doing here? Yeah,
you didn't go to bed.
But I mean, let's kind of kick it off. Bailey Falter gets the start today. And you're assuming it's going to be a regular Bailey Falter start, right? He, goes through the first inning. He does give up a 2-run homer to Dansby Swanson in the first inning for the Pirates. Pirates drop down 2-0, but and then they pull him. I don't know exactly really what's going on there. I'm curious to hear the explanation, and as far as what if this was the plan, if something happened. This is the first time we've seen Bailey Falter be used in a role like this where he just goes 1 inning. And with a team that's desperate for guys to eat innings, you kind of you just look at this and you're like, why, right?
Yeah, and I'm assuming they brought in Bailey Falter to essentially be a starter, right?
Yeah,
that is the goal. So I was figuring they were trying to do this Oviedo style thing where they're stretching him out, getting him more comfortable until he can ramp up to go 3 times through an order. But tonight makes no sense unless he's injured.
That was my first thought. Yeah.
And there was nothing on the broadcast that suggested that he was hurt. It seemed like that was just the plan from the get-go. So unless this is supposed to be his bullpen day, which I guess is possible, but I don't think he's pitched in 5 days. I don't know what we're doing. I don't get it.
The only thing I can think of is that they are setting up maybe for someone else to start this week. And maybe that's Jared Jones. I don't know. That I could see that maybe being the case here. But
Okay.
yeah, because the way that the rotations should have lined up was, Falter would have been the guy today. Priester was going to be the guy tomorrow. So now you've basically got an opening there. Now there's plenty of guys who they can throw out there, but yeah, I don't know if that's maybe what is on the horizon, but yeah, the one inning out of Bailey Falter definitely a little confusing to me. He didn't look great. He gave up the 2-run homer to Swanson. Put the Pirates in a hole there, but he gives way to Quinn Priester, who again we were expecting to go tomorrow, but Priester goes today. He's the Chicago area native, pitching in Wrigley Field for this first time, and he gets a rude awakening. In his first inning of work there. I do want to talk about Quinn Priester. So the final line today, 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs. It's respectable, I guess. Like, it's not a quality start, but it's not like it wasn't like it wasn't the worst we've ever seen Quinn Priester.
It wasn't the worst, but I mean, last time I think us two were on the show, we were talking about how like you could be like encouraged by Quinn Priester's next start, like and like going future, but like he didn't have that today. He wasn't missing bats. He was giving up lots of hard contact. Gave up a home run. There was no progression off of the promising signs we saw the last start.
Yeah, I would say the only promising thing here is that it did seem like the velocity again was there that we saw last week.
Yeah.
The fastball, the sinker was up 2 miles an hour over his season average. The 4-seamer was up 1.5 miles over his season average. So, he hit 97 on the gun a few times. But you're right. The hard stuff, though, still getting hit, and it's still getting hit hard. Average. I'm not even going to go into averages, but there were some hard hit balls off of his fastballs. Only 3 swings and misses were generated on 25 chances for his sinker and his 4-seam fastball. So that's a 12% whiff rate. That's not going to get it done. The slider generated some swings and misses, but also he left it hanging a couple times and it got hit a long way. Yeah, not the most encouraging outing for Priester. I guess if you're encouraged about anything, like he did get through 6 innings.
Yes, he did.
Somewhat efficiently, and kept the team in the game. Really, I mean, it wasn't until after he left it all blew apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as close as a 6-1 lead can be. But he wasn't awful. Like, there have been Quinn Priester starts where I just want to turn off the TV, and I didn't want to immediately turn off the TV today watching him pitch.
Yeah.
But there's still no sign of him being a rotation arm in the future. And the fact that we have 3 starting pitcher kind of rookie deal guys start this year, and none of them even look close to securing a rotation spot it's really bad. It's not great.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of brought it up today on Twitter. Like, you think, just in the last year, you had Roansy Contreras, Luis Ortiz, Quinn Priester, all top 100 prospects, pretty much unanimous top 100 prospects. They all have faltered, at the major league level, and none of them really have any looks of being a major league starter at this point. Mm-hmm. And then you look on the flip side, the Cubs have, a 26-year-old who they called up this year. He's thrown 100 innings. Javier Assad. He throws 90 miles an hour. He's striking out the Pirates every at bat. He's got a 3.04 earned run average in over 100 innings now. Like, it's just frustrating. You're seeing the Pirates guys with the stuff and the minor league pedigree and everything that goes with it. And then you look across the aisle and you see Javier Assad, who had almost a 6 ERA at age 23 in AA, who's just, called up to the majors all of a sudden. He's been very effective.
Yeah, you have Javier Assad. You have what's his name? Jordan Wicks.
Yeah.
who's looked really, really good too. Like those are two rookies who, their only big guy was Hayden Wesneski, who has been terrible, but they just pulled two starting pitchers who look like legitimate mainstays in the rotation. Like Javier Asad's been worth 2 WAR this year.
Yeah, and the dude throws 90. Like, I mean, he's not doing anything special. He's
Priester, Ortiz, and Contreras are probably combined for negative WAR this year. Yeah. And if you want to look across the division, you have Abbott, Greg Abbott, not Greg Abbott.
Andrew.
No, that's the governor.
Andrew
the Abbott guy
Abbott,
from the Reds, who's also shoving it as a rookie, and you have Nick Lodolo. And you have to say, if we can't spend the money that the Cubs spend to go get a Marcus Stroman, a Cody Bellinger, where is the development that's going to keep us competitive coming from? Because I don't see it.
I don't know, Neil. It's a good question. But yeah, I mean, Priester, again, I said, didn't look spectacular, didn't look terrible. It was just kind of, meh today. I said velocity, definitely a good sign to see the velocity up. That's encouraging. Yeah. And so that'll be something I kind of keep an eye on the rest of the year. But at some point you need to see results, like actual results from Quinn Priester. Because today he didn't really show it. Sticking on the pitching side, let's talk about it. Kyle Nicholas was called up today. Thomas Hatch was sent down. Kyle Nicholas called up. Kyle Nicholas has looked incredible in Indianapolis since being moved to the bullpen full time. Today makes his major league debut in the 8th inning, and rough debut, Neil. Rough debut. What were your thoughts on Nicholas today?
Life comes at you fast. I have no earthly idea. It's he has the stuff. But my word, maybe it's hard to judge major league debuts because there's just so much emotion there, so much going on. But man, he kept leaving stuff over the plate, or it wasn't even close.
Yeah,
it was not good.
That
grand slam to, I have no idea what his name is. Never heard of this guy.
Alexander Canario.
Yeah,
he's a top prospect. He's a big time prospect.
Was he really?
He got him from the Giants. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that back.
Yeah. But that was his first major league home run, Canario. Yeah. So, I'll say this with Nicholas, the fastball was impressive tonight. It was good. It was generating swings and misses. He hit 98 a few times on the gun, but it was pretty much sitting 97. And when he located it, it was really good. He was getting swings and misses with it.
Yeah.
The slider on the other hand, he was just terrible locations throughout the night. I tweeted out a picture of his slider usage tonight, and he didn't throw a single slider, Neil. Not one slider did he throw today that was lower than the batter's belt. So when you throw your sliders and you're hanging them like that to major league hitters, they're gonna hit them, and they're gonna hit them far and hard, and that's what we saw tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he only got 2 hard hits, but I mean, when you can't locate, you're going to walk people. And the Cubs are going to walk. They have a pretty good offense going there, and it's just, again, it's his debut, but you really don't want to see him walking all these guys. The fastball is good, but it also felt like he wasn't locating his fastball really all that well. Everything was just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he wasn't locating anything. And I don't know if you can chalk that. His command has always been a little iffy, right? It's been better lately, but it's not his strong point by any means. And that's why he's a reliever, right? If his command was good with the stuff that he's got, he would be a starting pitcher. He's not a starting pitcher because of the command, right? But you've got to expect it to be better than it was tonight. So you kind of chalk this one up to just major league debut jitters. I will say this, the stuff is very attractive, and I want to see more of it. So I I want to see more Kyle Nicholas down the stretch here because, you can't teach 98 miles per hour, with rise on that fastball. Like when he was getting that fastball up in the zone, it looked really good. You can't teach that. So I want to see more of him. Hopefully he can kind of hone in on the command issues. But right now, the ERA, Neil, it's sitting at 162.00. I don't know if I've ever seen an ERA that high. I know I've seen like the INF, like the infinity ones before.
Yeah.
162 though, that's rough.
What was that one Cardinal starter who got called up on Sunday Night Baseball against the Dodgers? I think that was higher.
Okay.
I forget his name though.
I don't know, but yeah, that's a rough debut. He goes a third of an inning. He gives up 3 hits, 2 walks, a hit by pitch, 6 runners score. 2 of those score on a 3-run homer that Jose Hernandez gave up. After coming in, it was terrible. Yeah, it was a rough game. The bullpen between Nicholas and Hernandez, it wasn't pretty that 8th inning. And
I agree. I mean, I guess if you're having a bad day, you're not Kyle Nicholas's family who sat through an hour-long lane delay, sat into cold Wrigley bleachers just to watch their relative do that. So I guess it's perspective.
I'll say this, Wrigley Field is one of my favorite ballparks. I love it. I love going to games there. It is not fun being at Wrigley Field when it's pouring rain and cold and the Cubs are just beating the crap out of you. That's not fun. Not fun. So like I said, rough game for the pitchers today. Offensively, not a whole lot going on. I'll say this: Henry Davis didn't look good at the end of the game, but he does finally get a hit. His first, he was 0 for 7 heading into today. Coming off of his rehab, he smokes a single in his first at bat. So maybe he gets something going here. You want to see something out of Henry Davis here these last 2 weeks.
Something. Because the right field defense still doesn't look that much better. That dive today in right field was one of the stupidest things I've seen in a while. And it's not his fault. It's so not his fault. He shouldn't be playing there.
All 3 outfielders actually today. Davis had the dive, Sawinski had a bad dive, and then Reynolds just fell over on a ball that was over his head.
It was one of those days, but I think it kind of speaks volumes. The Cubs don't slip. I don't think the Cubs had a bad defensive play the entire game. They every time we play them, they're a sound, fundamental team. They hit well, they run well, they field well. The Pirates did none of those things tonight, especially hitting.
I was about to say it's a lot easier to not make any mistakes in the field when the opposing team strikes out 16 times.
You're not wrong. Yeah. Striking out that many times a Javi or Assad is embarrassing.
Drew Smiley struck out the side in an inning. Drew Smiley.
Luke Little struck out the side. I guess he gave up some hits, but all 3 outs for strikeouts.
Let's talk about there was one bright spot on offense today. Brian Hayes singled in his first at bat, homers in his second at bat, his 14th homer of the year. The guy just keeps hitting. His weighted runs created plus is up to 101. His OPS is up to 765.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to just keep seeing him hit to end the year. And he's gearing himself up to I'm going to be expecting a monster 2024 out of Brian Hayes at this point.
I just want him to be hitting even somewhat close to what he's hitting but I mean, I think September's been down for him, right? I think it's been it hasn't been nearly as good as the blast, but let's put it this way, he still has 3 homers in 17 games, which absolutely plays. So even if he hasn't been hitting 300 and hitting as much as he was like in August, you're still tracking toward a 20-25 home run season next year at this pace. And that's all you can kind of ask for.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually playing pretty well in September now too. He's hitting 292.
Okay.
I can't pull the OBP and slugging as easily, but yeah, 3 homers. Yeah, he's gotten a hit in all but 3 games this month. So he's still hitting the ball. And like I said, today is 14th home run of the year. That's a career high.
Mm-hmm. I was like before today, he still had a 783 OPS in September. Like before this home run, like that's completely playable.
Yeah. So he it's above 800 now.
If he has a 783 OPS next season through the entire year, that is a huge W. So
he's probably a 5-win player.
Win. Yeah, at least 5. As the defense stays the same.
Yeah.
So, and he got an out through interference today. That the umps missed somehow.
That was an interesting play.
The umps just like kind of ignore.
Yeah, I don't know the last time I've ever seen that before. So like there was a foul ball, hit in play, but foul territory, and Brian Hayes is going to go make the catch, and he runs into the batter on deck, and the ball drops. They initially just roll it a foul ball. Umpires to get together, and they eventually roll the hitter out for interference by the on base, the on deck hitter. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
No, I don't think so either. That's new.
The glorious thing about baseball, there's 162 games a year, and like you always just something will happen every once in a while, and you're just like, not sure if I've ever seen that. So.
Even Pirates games where we feel like we've seen everything.
Yeah, even in 14-1 blowout losses, you still see something you've never seen before.
I don't know if I've seen 16 strikeouts in a game by the Pirates. It probably happened this year, but tonight seemed especially egregious.
I want to say they've done 19 at one point in like an extra inning game, maybe in like a 10-inning game. They struck out 19 times.
If that's true, I'd believe it. But
yeah, I think that's happened. But outside of that, not a whole lot else happened today. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. It was bad. Like, I just want every single person associated with hitting in any capacity gone. I don't care what level. Everyone get out. Everyone. Yeah. I am so tired of seeing us strike out at this rate.
So, looks like Keller and Oviedo are going to start the next 2 games. So they're going to bump everybody up a day. There was the off day Monday, so it's still normal rest, but that's still pretty surprising to me because at this stage in the year, both of those 2 guys have thrown a ton of innings. You would think that you would just kind of give them that extra day's rest, but
you would think.
I guess the Pirates aren't doing that.
Yeah, especially for a guy like Oviedo, who has such a drastic leap, and I think they're both top 10 in innings pitched and batters faced in baseball, or at least in the NL, at the very least in the National League. So, like, they have been such workhorses. I'm surprised. Yeah, I think it's weird that they're not giving them the rest that they need.
Yeah, Keller is 9th right now in the NL, or in Major League Baseball. I'm sorry. So if we just go to the National League here, Keller is 5th in innings pitched. Oviedo is 13th.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean they've pitched a lot of innings this year. Oviedo's about 50 innings over his career high. So that is
only 50.
Yeah, he was at 117 last year. He's at 166 now, so he's about 50 over. I said we talked about it on the last show. Was the last Oviedo start was, do you consider even shutting him down, or because that's a big jump, and you can obviously see that he wasn't as effective in his last outing.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want the injury risk because him becoming a workhorse style pitcher has actually been one of the more pleasant developments of the season. getting really, I don't know if consistent's the right word, but he's been a good pitcher.
You can count on 5 innings from him basically every time out, whether he's good or bad.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, and his strikeout rates are getting up there. Yeah, I think you might want to protect him unless they really believe they have this outside shot at making a playoff spot, because I think that ship has sailed. But
yeah, I don't think that ship is anywhere near port anymore. That ship is long gone. But yeah, so Keller Oviedo in line to finish off this series. Falter and Priester both going tonight, so that's an interesting move. I guess that was just what they were planning on doing. So today was just going to be a Falter Priester type day, and Falter only going the 1 inning. Like, that's just odd to me, but yeah, it is what it is.
I'm sure Derek Shelton answered that question tonight somewhere, but I
can't see it. I can't see an answer.
I can't feel bothered to go listen to the entire post game interview about tonight. I need the purge just from my memory.
All right, so Pirates lose 14-1. They drop to 1-10 on the year against the Chicago Cubs. Tomorrow is a 7:40 start time. Again, Mitch Keller on the mound facing Justin Steele, who is a NL Cy Young candidate for sure. We'll have a post-game show. Yep.
I think Blake Snell sunk that ship tonight too.
Yeah.
7 no-hit innings with 10 Ks, and Steele. I'm hoping Snell wrapped that up.
Yeah, and then also you got to remember the Pirates are going to shell Justin Steele tomorrow.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. And so we'll be back on here tomorrow to talk about that. Mitch Keller is going to be beating Justin Steele tomorrow in a blowout. It's going to be 14-1, but just the other direction.
Yes.
All right, Neil. You got anything else before we're out of here?
No.
Everyone who watched this, again, you're
God
sickos.
Bless you all.
You're sickos, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for your comments. Everybody listening tomorrow or down the road, appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.